Hello, my name is Dylan with the anime summary. It's been 3 days since Rio has retreated away from the royal capital, reaching the borderline country, arriving in a market town called Amande in the kingdom of Golark. Rio looks at the wanted poster signs to make sure he isn't a fugitive and proceeds to obtain the items he needs for his adventure. Rio notices something behind him and turns to see no one, being overcautious. After he leaves, the demi-human in cloaks is hiding behind a wall, following Rio. After retrieving his items and spending time in the town, Rio is running into the forest and stumbles across a person in cloak lying down on the ground. He goes to check out the situation and asks if the person's alright. While lying on the ground, the demi-human spits a poison dart at Rio, making him feel unconscious. The demi-human girl tells Rio that he's going to kill him. He stops the poison and tells her that he's not going to be killed and stalls time for the poison to wear off. She charges at him with her daggers but evades them quickly. She evades Rio's daggers and climbs up a tree and enhances her physical abilities. He charges at her, deflecting her attacks, and they fall to the ground in a standoff between each other. She is speechless about the way Rio moves and how swift he is as a human. Rio overpowers her when she makes her move, removing the knife, flipping her over, and pinning her to the ground. The demi-human slave thinks that she's going to be killed, but misunderstood. He uses magic on her face, knocking her unconscious. Rio notices the collar of submission while tying her up. He recalls from studying at the academy that using a dispel on the collar will remove it. He uses dispel magic and breaks the collar from the demi-human slave. We get a flashback from the death of Rio and the girl from the train incident, revealing that the little girl was also reincarnated into the demi-human slaves going by the name Latifa. She wakes up chained to a student from the academy, smirking evilly, and launches her into the back of the cell onto the pavement. The student uses torturing magic on her collar, breaking her will and demanding her to call him her older brother. She replies, repeating after him, and passes out. Latifa awakens from the fight with Rio and tries to escape the ropes on her hands and legs. He tells her to stop and that they are bounded to her. Rio tells her that if she doesn't want to die, she needs to stop being vicious towards him. Latifa asks if she stops attacking that she wouldn't be killed. He shows her the collar and explains the effects of being controlled by it and not reliving the pain that it brought. Rio interrogates Latifa about the collar and states that since no one is around in the forest that she has nothing to be worried about. Latifa tells him that he doesn't know the name of her master but knows the esteemed brother, which is the human named Stuart. Rio recalls the main culprit who put the blame on Princess Flora's falling to be him. He walks away, telling Latifa that since the collar is no longer on her, she is free to run away, and if she attacks again, he tells her that he won't be merciless anymore. While walking through the forest, Latifa is following Rio. He turns around and demands to know the business with him. Latifa tells him that she wants to accompany him on his travels. He confesses that she can't be trusted and has no guarantee that he won't be attacked again. She shows the collar and insists him to put it on her, asking him in tears. She cries and begs him to take her along. He agrees to have her tag along. They introduce each other and begin their journey, setting up camp and eating food. Latifa cries while eating food, being gracious from Rio's kindness and passion for her. At the castle, Celia receives letters from Rio. She reads them in her room and is surprised that he reached Amande in 3 days and hopes that he'll be safe on his journeys. During the night, while Rio is cooking spaghetti, Latifa jumps quickly in excitement and asks quickly if she can eat some. He allows her and she thanks him and has a hunch that she is from the other world as well. While going to bed, Latifa is having a nightmare about her past and Rio confronts her and goes to bed. They commence on their journey the next day. One night while traveling and Latifa is sleeping, Rio goes outside the tent and sees a giant wolf gazing at him. The wolf blinds his vision and is attacked forcefully. He uses spirit magic to locate the people attacking him. He pleads with the people attacking, asking if they are demi-humans. While introducing himself, the girls locate Latifa and misinterpret Rio's spirit art usage and swiftly knock him to the ground. One of the girls uses shock magic and knocks out Rio. Rio wakes up in a dream to see the first spirit that he saw at his old home. He asks her who she is and she says she is connected to him and disappears. Rio wakes up chained in a bed to the girls who knocked him out last night. Latifa runs in, hugging Rio, and is demanding to know if he's alright and sees the chains wrapped around his arms. An elderly demi-human comes in and apologizes for the mishaps. The girls who captured Rio go on their knees in front of the bed asking for forgiveness. They remove his chains and leave him and Latifa alone for the night. The next day at the massive tree, Rio is following the elderly demi-human up the flight of stairs and enters a meeting with the Council of Elders. They introduce themselves formally and admit guilt for the slavery of Rio at the start of his visit. Rio tells them to raise their heads and requests that they take care of Latifa at the village. A spirit appears and replies with a moving on to the conversation onto the business at hand. The green-haired spirit goes by the name Lady Dryas. She instantly notices in Rio a spirit hiding inside of him. She informs Rio that having a spirit can affect the use of magic effectively. Lady Dryas asks Rio if she can look inside of him, and he agrees. She grabs his cheeks and notices a person-shaped spirit sleeping inside of him. The council explains to him that he's a part of the village and that he'd be treated gratefully. Rio is escorted to the place where he'd be staying, and Latifah is inside waiting for him, and when the door opens to see Rio, immediately rushes over to him to greet him. Latifah informs him that the house he sees is theirs. She gives a tour showing the open bathroom, the kitchen, and the balcony with the astonishing view. They sit down to eat, discussing the food that originated from the Yagumo region. After eating, one of the demi-human girls asks Rio where they will be sleeping inside the house, informing him that they were ordered by the Council of Elders for the three of them to look after Rio and Latifah while they are staying at the village. The elder demi-human walks up and apologizes for the late notice of the housing arrangement. Rio is worried about the problems of living with demi-humans. She replies that the talk of them has spread among the village and that it'd be good for everyone, even for Latifah's sake. Rio greets everyone with a big smile. Reese is flying his griffin with a companion and enters an abandoned cave. Reese tells him to wait and heads further into the cave. He brings back an egg and hands it to his companion. They steal the egg and anger the mother and a swarm of monsters. It's been over 1 year since Rio and Latifah entered the village. Everyone in the village is happy on how much they contributed. Lady Dryas, blessing on the day of the Grand Spirit Festival, welcomes Rio as a sworn friend and Latifah as a resident of the village. They walk up to receive the blessing from Lady Dryas, and everyone applauds and is excited to feast. On the festival night, everyone gathers in joy eating food. Rio is confused about how the situation between the girls will happen. The girls cling harder onto Rio, making him weird and uncomfortable. Rio tells the girls that he wants to become closer friends and that it would make him very delighted. In the back part of the forest, Reese is devising a plan with his companion on departing to Starl early and that he'll be investigating the area before then. He advises his companion to look after the griffin and gives him a red artifact and to only use it if the worst event happens, telling him that it will reveal his location to Rias. Rias walks away deeper into the forest and uses his flying magic, revealing his plan to use his accomplice as bait for the monsters from the cave, and leaves the area. Rio and Latifah are walking into the forest, Rio curious about Latifah's enjoyment living in the village. He gives her updates about living at the village for 1 year and plans on leaving. In disbelief and sadness, runs away in tears, not wanting to leave Rio. At the Elder Council, Lady Dryas reports that there was a reaction to the barrier. The Elders send the warrior demi-humans to go scout the problem and that there could be more than 1 to 2 enemies. While the monsters are out chasing the mother's egg, Rias goes back into the cave where they left and starts collecting all the eggs. Meanwhile, the warriors from the village are riding their mounts and searching for the problem. One of them detects what's going on, giving them 2 locations of mysterious creatures that could be at the spring right below. They see a griffin and a human and go down to investigate. The warriors appear out of the bushes and ask Rias' accomplice to accompany them and to do what he's told. They start asking questions, but the boy unleashes his dagger and goes behind the tree, untying his griffin and flees the scene. The warrior chief commands them to target the griffin using shock magic. The boy encounters the monsters known as wyverns. He jukes them out and heads straight towards the village. The warrior captain informs the scout about the attack and tells him to relay the message to everyone in the village fast. In the caves, Rias completes the capturing the rest of the eggs, and since he has no need for his accomplice, he says goodbye and breaks the red artifact, killing him while he's on the griffin and falls to the ground. Latifah, on her way back to the village, thinks back to the conversation with Rio on how he's going to leave the village and can't take her with him. She sees a broken egg and a hurt man on the ground. The mother wyvern appears checking out the baby to see its dad, and she roars in anger. At the village, while everyone is evacuating, Rio walks to one of the elder demi-humans to ask what is going on. He reveals to him that the festival is cancelled and a pack of furious wyverns are approaching. Rio recalls Latifah is still in the forest and runs in to go save her. The mother wyvern attacks Latifah. She dodges but can't dodge the tail and ends up getting smacked against the tree. Wounded just before the wyvern finishes her off with a fireball, one of the warriors steps in using wind magic to negate the attack. She calls her mounts and tells Latifah to stay away. She charges at the wyvern but gets knocked away against a tree and falls to the ground. The wyvern takes out the mounts with a fireball in 1 strike. Latifah decides to run out towards the wyvern and distract her, buying time for the village. A log falls in her way, and when the wyvern was about to squish her, Rio launches ice magic to knock the beast away and rescue Latifah. Rio uses his physical ability to locate the weak spot of the wyvern, taking it out from its mouth, and the rest of the pack retreats. The next day at Rio and Latifah's house, she apologizes for what transpired last night and was thankful to Rio for his kind gestures and positivity. She reveals to him that she died once and used to be a human and was reincarnated into the world. She describes the place that she used to live in called a place called Japan. Rio believes her and tells her the truth that he's the exact same. Latifah swears to Rio to become stronger and will be waiting for him to return to the village. Before leaving, the elder council rewards Leo with a sword made out of mithril, informing him that he could absorb spirit arts and disguise them in the sword, also receiving armor made from the mother wyvern that he took out. They also give him lots of food and a special amulet to make him travel a lot easier. Rio thanks them and says goodbye to everyone and hugs Latifah. Rio flies away and Latifah waves goodbye in tears. Celia in her office tries to reach for a book and hallucinates Rio helping her retrieve a book. She worries about Rio not having received any letters in quite some time. If you guys like what you saw, be sure to subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you in the next video. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.